welcome to round 3 of the World Sim Series GT3 Team Championship, and we're here at Imola for what is promising to be one hell of a race. This track, steeped in legend, this place has been a circuit that has seen both good and bad from the battles between Michael Schumacher and Fernando Alonso. We've seen GT3's race here with the Fanatec GT World Challenge, and obviously the place where Ayrton Senna and Roland Ratzenberger lost their lives back in 1999. This is the Imola circuit, a little bit reworked throughout the years, but still incredibly difficult. Through Tamburello and then the Villeneuve chicane into Tossa, and then as they climb up and then down the hill into Acqua Minerale, a very difficult braking zone. Through the Variante Alta, big jumps over those curbs, and through the final double left at Rivazza at the bottom of the hill. And that is a lap of Imola. And let's head back down onto track action. This is Toros Tunila, your current provisional pole sitter, the only car into the 1 minute 40s. 141.2 for Simon Speff, who's in second position right now. And I'm joined, as always, by Lodilas.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, Gustas. Hope you're having a good evening so far. And we are at the very end of our third qualifying session of the season, as Gustas already mentioned, in the historic venue of Circuit Imola. Toros Tunila warming up his tires. He was just seen in the pit lane. Now he's back out on the racetrack to try and defend his current provisional pole position. He leads by 6/10 against Simon Speth, who came in to this championship to replace Simonas Urbanas in the leading Sean Clark Racing team. Remember, this is a team championship. The races consist of 1 hour long races, but usually what we've seen so far, the drivers choose to participate here by themselves, but they have the ability to choose which rounds they want to participate at, and this is where we see the swap in our current leading team. Simon Speth is currently second in the qualifying session. He's on his flying lap right now and doing a little bit better than his personal fastest lap time. He's currently up by roughly 1/10 of a second, while he's completing one of the corners. I've just lost myself on the racetrack. Wanted to shout out the name of the corner and understood that I am a little bit lost here.
It's going to be coming down into Acqua Minerale, that very, very difficult braking zone. The rear end of the car wants to step out the whole way through that turn. Big sausage curbs installed here for those GT3 cars to not be jumping too much over the curbs, but still at the chicane here at the Variante Alta, they destroy even what's left of those sausage curbs.
And he's actually doing quite good up until now. He's up by 4/10 of his personal fastest lap time. Toros Tunila on the racetrack, and he was running 2/10 faster, but he just made a mistake, and which made his lap time invalid. In the meantime, Alex Leaf jumped up into P2, but not for long, because Simon Speth should cross the line right now, and he is back in P2, only by 400 of a second slower than Toros Tunila, and Toros was running slightly faster, but made a mistake. And I think Toros will have no more chances to do a better lap. So good news for Toros that Simon Speth did not better his personal fastest lap time, and now he's running slower.
Alex Leaf has improved as well in third. Here he is next to the track, and now back onto pit road. Simon Speff, he's stuck behind the lapped car, and I don't think he's going to improve. Toros Tunila has one more shot at it. He's going to try and push, but big run over the grass. I don't think that's quicker. Nope,
yeah.
He bails out of it, and I think Simon Speff has as Well, this is Katkus on his final flying attempt. He's got quite a few cars up in front of him that he wants to overtake as lap times drop throughout the qualifying session. As we come towards the end, he obviously was making an overtake we saw previously, so that might not be the best for improving your qualifying lap time. Gediminas Krikštaitis up into third position, 1 minute 40.697. We missed his improvement, but that puts him up on to the inside of the second row of the grid.
Katkus on a good lap. He's actually 6/10 up on his lap time, so he's aiming for position number 4 on the starting grid. And he's...
Big improvements towards the end of the qualifying session, so the track clearly ramping up. Obviously, the drivers getting into the groove of it. Down into the final braking zone of the track. Again, a very difficult braking zone as it goes downhill. The car doesn't want to stop, but you gotta get it stopped. Up over the final pieces of curbs he goes, and coming to the line. Let's see if Katkus can make an improvement.
Yep.
Yes, he can, into fourth place, 1 minute 40.
Actually, he was looking at pole at one time on the circuit because he was improving by 0.8 of a second just to make a mistake later in the lap time, but still improved by 0.6, which was enough for P4. But good to know that Steven Katkus had the chance to even compete for pole position. There we go. Our grid is ready to start the session. I believe we have 1 minute or so until the session starts.
There's still the full formation lap that they have to do. This is Katkus's Porsche, the 992 GT3R, the car of choice, at least at the front of the field. And he's starting in fourth place, but clearly has the pace to maybe even challenge the leaders. Coming from a bit further back, he's got Gediminas Krikštaitis on his left, who's going to have Simon Speff on the row ahead of him on the right side, and Tauras Tunila in front of him. If he can follow the leader, he may just be able to jump Simon Speff at the start. Alex Leaf, Simon Speff's teammate with the Sean Clark Racing Team, starting in 5th position, so he's a threat from behind as well. Matas Mickiewicz, highest of the BMWs, in 6th position, and then Stefanos Kuma in 7th. He's the highest of the Ferraris. Then it's Porsche again with Grodinis and Samulonis in 8th and 9th respectively. That's your 4th row of the grid. The 5th row of the grid, that's the highest of the McLarens. That's Domantas Kniva in position number 10. And then in 11th we do have Justinas Saldukas as the cars move out for their formation lap. Dave Sparktronics down in 12th position in the Ferrari. 13th for Daniel Butvila in the very purple BMW. 14th for Jan Bruyere in the Ferrari. 15th has gone the way of Mantas Kopknas in another one of the Ferraris. So a lot of Ferraris towards the back of the field. Andrea Panaskoya in 16th spot with another Ferrari. Another Ferrari of Maxime Jordi occupies 17th. 18th for Ines Klimavicius in the Porsche. 19th for Justinas L in the McLaren. 20th for Mari Banash in the BMW. 21st for Jonas Getsavicius in another Porsche. And rounding out the field will be Justinas Getsavicius in the Porsche. 22nd place on the grid for him. But pole position and the front 2 rows of the grid occupied by Porsche. Actually, the whole top 5 is. And only on the outside of row 3 is the first of the non-Porsches, that being the BMW of Matas Mickiewicz. This is Tauras Tunila warming up his tires, getting his brakes up to temp as well. He's going to be leading the field, and he's going to have control of the field all the way down to the green flag. And once the green flies, they'll head into the Tamburello chicane. And that is a real choke point around this track. Not too many straights, and the walls pretty close for a permanent race circuit. This is more akin to a street track with how close the walls are, and very, very quick. We'll see how the drivers get on in these GT3 cars. It is an hour race. They've got to make a pit stop to change tires. They might put a little bit of fuel in, but that's just to eliminate any advantage that teams who do not need to switch drivers have. And, well, the teams that can switch drivers, that have drivers to switch to, will be switching their drivers as well. Toros Tunila really working those rear tires, both the fronts, I think, as well. It's easy to get the rears up to temp. It's a lot more difficult to get the fronts up to temp, so he really needs to be working the front tires with his brakes. Simon Speff looks a bit more calm before the race start, as everybody gets into line to start the hour-long race.
Oh, what is happening here?
I think Gitnas Kirkslight is being a bit too eager to get the race underway. But here we go on to the start-finish straight, getting ready to start the 1 hour of Imola.
Grid looks okay, and we should have a green flag right away. Toros Danila trying to be a smart driver, and he wants to outsmart Simon Speth right at the start. Waits patiently for the green flag to show up on his screen and to start the race as fast as he can to try and stay in the lead.
Coming up to the green, you can see Toros Tunila a bit more on driver's right compared to everyone else. He's going to try and push Simon Speff to
good reaction.
the other side, and that's the green, and that's a great reaction from Toros Tunila, and even better reaction from Gediminas Kirkspalaitis, because he is now able to challenge for second spot side by side into the chicane, and Gediminas Kirkspalaitis gets up into second position. Simon Speff down into third. This is a chance for Steven Kutkus to get up into third place himself, but Simon Speff just holds off the inside. Into Villeneuve they go. Matas Mitskau just losing a spot. Now it's a Porsche top 6 off the road, one of the Ferraris. And this is Dave Sparktronics trying to make a move on Mantas Samudanas, but he gets made a move on by Justinas Soldukas, who's trying to get up into 9th place. Looks like the Porsche is getting their tires up to temps much more quicker than the others, as they've been eating up everyone else. And down the hill they go for the first time, down into Aqua Minerale. Let's see if anybody can try and make a move. This is not the spot you want to make a move into, but still possible if the guy makes a mistake. Looks like everybody flew relatively cleanly. The only car that was off was that Ferrari that we saw. And now into the chicane. Big jumps over the curbs for everyone. Toros Tunila continues to hold the lead, but Gediminas Kirkspalaitis is only 0.3 of a second behind. He is putting on the pressure. Simon Speff losing time, so clearly the car is set up to come alive later on in the race. Maybe needs a bit more time to get his tires and brakes up into temperature, and this is going to be a chance for Steven Kutkos to make a move as well. Maybe down into turn 1.
He's close.
He's very close, and he is going to be able to make a move if Simon Speff actually doesn't defend the inside. He does defend the inside, but to the outside, Steven Kutkos, if he's got better grip, he might just be able to do it. Side by side through the chicane, and Steven Kutkos still side by side through the left. They go through turn 3, still side by side, and has to back out of it on the exit. Now Sean Clark, teammate, Alex Leaf, the teammate of Simon Speff in that Sean Clark Racing outfit. Oh, off the road he goes. And now it's a chance for Dominikas Grodinis, who started down in 7th. Now he's trying to get back, he's trying to get up the field. But that was very, very brave from Steven Kutkos, and maybe even braver from Simon Speff, trying to hold position, because he knew if they got to that left side by side, it would have to be Steven who lifted. And Simon Speff holds on to third. Toros Tunila and Gediminas Kirkspalaitis is still locked together, 0.6 of a second, the gap between those two for the lead of the race. They're close, but Toros Tunila just edging out a little bit of a gap. We've seen these races turn around their head. Toros Tunila, interesting interpretation of track limits by him.
It was wide, and it was off track actually, because his lap got invalidated, so it was a little bit too wide. Exiting that chicane.
Got 3 strikes you can do. So 3 times you can get a track limit warning, then it's a penalty, and we saw at Donington Park quite a few cars getting those penalties. Steven Kutkus back for round 2, because he wants to get past Simon Speff, who looks like he's still struggling quite a bit getting those tires up into the right operating window. Has to defend the inside coming into Tamburello, but slows down a lot because Steven Kutkus is now able to go to the inside. Now Simon Speff leaves the door open. He's now onto the outside into the Villeneuve chicane. Nope. Still backs out of it. Steven Kutkus being very, very patient. Simon Speff starting to make mistakes. Goes wide onto the gravel. I was going to say the grass. Onto the gravel here at Imola. And now Steven Kutkus will try to cross the line here on the exit. Not going to work. Not this time, buddy, says Simon Speff. Holds on to 3rd place, but now 3 seconds behind Gediminas Krikšlaitis, who is in 2nd, holder of the fastest lap, but obviously Tautas Danila went quicker. It's just that his lap didn't count because of the track limits infringement.
We had 3 cars entering the pit lane by the end of the first lap, so there had to be a bigger accident. The mandatory pit stops should start in between the 20th and 40th minute of the race. You cannot do a session which is shorter than 40 minutes.
Longer. You cannot do a
longer, yes, exactly.
Down in through the final turn they go. This is a 4-car battle, I would call it, for 3rd place. Steven Kutkus now 0.4 of a second, so this is the largest gap that we've seen between these two so far. And this is going to give a bit of breathing room to Simon Speff, who looks to be getting quicker and quicker. Still holds the inside just a little bit, just to discourage any super brave and late move, but Steven Kutkus very, very close behind. This is going to force Simon Speff to go defensive once again. No, he doesn't. He does brave it out for now, but through the right, we've seen him make a mistake there. Not this time. Super tight, but not this time. And holds on. Maybe going a little bit wide through the hairpin, but continuing to hold 3rd place, and looks like he's getting a little bit more comfortable in the car. Let's see if the pace comes back to him as the race goes on. Justinas Saldukas jumping the curb and going off. Looks like we've had some kind of technical issue here. We might just now turn into a radio show.
Hopefully we will get our views back, but at this moment we are simply hanging. And I'm afraid we have to do a quick commercial break to try and fix what has been broken. So stay with us and we will try to get back as soon as possible.
green light. Go, go, go.
Back to live pictures. We've had a bit of a technical issue going on with the broadcast, but we're back to racing action. 48 minutes to go. It's still Tauras Tunila at the front of the field, heading Gediminas Krikštaitis, and Steven Kutkus has gotten in front of Simon Speff. We do apologize for not being able to show you that, but unfortunately that's how it goes sometimes. Mary Balash trying to defend from Justinas Getsavicius. Successful so far. Justinas Getsavicius was, I believe, the final car starting. So in from P22. This is Tauras Tunila ahead of Gediminas Krikštaitis. Leads Gediminas by... I don't think we have the gaps on screen just yet, but not by much. Gediminas has held on quite well. And Simonas Kutkus as well. He is there holding... Stevenas Kutkus is there as well. Doing a decent job. And getting in front of Simon Speff, who started in second place, by the way. So if you remember, Steven Kutkus had that incredible qualifying lap. He was heading for provisional pole. He did make a mistake towards the end of the lap. Let's see if he can actually be quicker than Tauras Tunila maybe throughout the rest of this race. Then he would have a chance of doing something. This is Ainis Klimavičius getting quite close to Dave Sparktronics. We'll see if he's able to make any moves or inroads here.
Maxim Jordi has joined the party in the battle for P11.
Maxim Jordi right off the road as you say that. This is the battle for 11th that we're watching. Tauras Tunila, by the way, fastest lap of the race. 1 minute 40.582. That's actually quicker than his best qualifying attempt, but Gediminas Krikštaitis responds 1 minute 40.472. That would have been pole. Well, he started in third, now in second place, trying to hunt down Tauras Tunila. Gaps on the screen now. 0.8 of a second between Gediminas Krikštaitis. 5.6 for Steven Kutkus to still catch up. Not sure if he'll be able to do that. That is a big gap, but Gediminas Krikštaitis actually holding on to the back of Tauras Tunila. Probably better than Tauras Tunila had hoped for. And Gediminas Krikštaitis happy. I'm sure he'd be to be staying behind. He is going to be saving fuel, saving tires. Not exactly saving tires, but he's saving... Tauras Tunila wide. And this is going to be a chance for Gediminas Krikštaitis to the outside into the braking zone for the chicane. He's going to have to back out of it because 2 into 1 does not go. And yep, he does. You're not going to make a move to the outside of the chicane unless you somehow outbrake somebody. The outside of the Variante Alta will always end up with the car on the outside.
Good spot for a mistake chosen by Tauras Tunila. So he made a mistake, but then could defend nicely into the tight corner, and actually that cost Gediminas Krikštaitis a little bit more time than he had hoped for. Because he lost about 1 second as he was already side by side with the race leader, but he's doing a good job. He's fast, he's holding on to Tauras Tunila, and most importantly, it looks like he is putting good pressure on the shoulders of Tauras because he's not avoiding mistakes, and his previous lap time was invalid again due to track limits before even he made that mistake. So this is working out pretty nicely for Gediminas Krikštolaitis. It didn't work out during the qualifying session. I've mentioned during his hot lap that he was pretty fast and was actually looking into pole, ended up starting 4th, made a good start and never looked back. Always looking forwards, sees the back end of the race leader who is driving identical car, maybe with a different setup. But it looks like during the race, Gediminas Krikštolaitis is doing a slightly better job than Tauras Tunila. Well, at least equally good job as the current race leader is doing.
Well, they, as you point out, they can have different setups. So it can be the same car, but the setups are open in this series, so they're able to have their own take on how they want the cars to handle, and that's part of the skill set you need as a racing driver. Get that car set up well so that you can run at the front. Gediminas Krikštolaitis still at that 0.8 gap. Closed it down a little bit last time around, but not able to overtake just yet. It's very difficult to get close enough to overtake. It's easy to get close. It's very difficult to actually make that move. There's not that many spots where you can make that move, and this has been pretty clearly seen today.
Two teammates actually quite close together in the background. That's Alex Leaf and Simon Speth. While we are focusing on this battle, there's another battle for position 4. It looks like Simon Speth is not doing as good as he would have hoped for before the race. Remember, Simon Speth is behind the wheel of Sean Clark Racing team car. That are currently the leaders of this championship. Tauras Tunila running wide again, and now there's a chance for Gediminas Krikštolaitis to snatch that lead away from Tauras Tunila, and this time he's on a very good position on the racetrack to do so. And Tauras Tunila is not willing to give up that easily. Both cars losing a little bit of time here in this situation, but most importantly, Gediminas Krikštolaitis becomes the new leader of this race. We are roughly one lap after one lap before we will start seeing those pit stops coming in. So we might see
It's that risk because Tauras Tunila, he hasn't been quicker, and I think that's the main point. He might just think about stopping earlier, getting a new set of Pirellis on his car, and trying to undercut Gediminas Krikštolaitis in front. Oh, very, very slidey. I think he wants a new set of rubber, but actually Gediminas Krikštolaitis is losing more time. It looked like they both got super slidey, and now Tauras Tunila on a charge again. Let's see if he can make a move against Gediminas Krikštolaitis this time round. Not into here. He's going to have to wait just a little bit longer. He wants to get in front now. Gediminas Krikštolaitis feeling the pressure from behind, going wide himself. Braking zone into Aqua Minerale. Big slide from Tauras Tunila. That's going to be time lost. Huge time lost. Now I think he's got to be considering going down onto pit road. I think one more lap just to be safe, because you might have the race end a little bit later. So one more lap I think Tauras Tunila is going to take, and then he should be down onto pit road, bolt a new set of Pirellis on, and push like hell, because he needs to get that position back. I think it does look like it's, I wouldn't say easy, but it is easier to be in front. It's quite difficult to overtake unless your opponent makes a mistake. So, 13 laps in, about 40 more minutes to go tonight. It is Tauras Tunila battling for his first win in this championship. Same goes for Gediminas Krikštolaitis. Both previous rounds won by Simonas Urbanas and his teammate Simon Speth, who's taken over his Sean Clark Racing machine. in 4th position at the moment, bringing home a good haul of points if he can stay there. Tauras Tunila really going to the edge of the track. This is Alex Leaf and Simon Speff. I wonder if there is any team orders going on to have one car in front or behind, but it looks like Simon Speff just struggling a little bit in this first stint of the race. Wondering if maybe he got the tire pressures just a little bit wrong and is now down in 4th, being hounded by 5th place. Tauras Tunila, by the way, 1.3 behind. 1.6 to 1.3, that's how our timing screens are showing him. This, I would call this now pit window open for anybody that wants to make a pit stop. They should be able to now.
By the way, we have race control doing some work and looking into this race if anyone is doing something illegal. And we have already a couple of penalties after race penalties.
Off the road. Not actually off the road. Very close to being off the road.
But some Steven Kutkus
done a decent job so far. He's not on the pace of the leaders, but he's only lost a little bit. He's still at a 5.9 gap. That was obviously to Gediminas Kirkštalaitis before he overtook. Now it's to Tauras Tunila, who's in 2nd place, but doing a good job, staying in a nice 3rd position. Pretty calm in there as well, by the looks of, by his car language, by his car's body language. It looks like the car is, like he and the car are quite comfortable. By the way, pit window open, Tauras Tunila choosing to stay out for at least one more lap. They do have to make that stop before 20 minutes to the end, but I don't think Tauras Tunila will be pushing it that late. He'll be trying to undercut Gediminas Kirkštalaitis. Well, he'll have to react to whatever Tauras Tunila does. Ooh, somebody off very, very wide and looked like it to cut the chicane. This is Justinas Oldukas. We saw him having a fight with the circuit beforehand. That McLaren up in front, that I believe...
That's Domantas Kniva.
Yeah, and he looked to have cut the chicane, decided that this was not the lap to take the chicane properly. It's better to skip it sometimes. Maybe saves the front splitter of his McLaren 720S just a little bit. Down to finish 14 and start... and starting lap 15 now of the race. Gediminas Kirkštalaitis versus Tauras Tunila. Last time round, the difference is 5 thousandths of a second.
And Tunila lost in the final and the 3rd sector. He was gaining on Gediminas Kirkštalaitis in 2 first sectors of the racetrack. But his previous lap time actually was invalid one more time, so he's having a hard time. It looks like Tauras Tunila tries to push as hard as he possibly can and doesn't avoid mistakes, runs wide, slides around, and sometimes goes off the racetrack. Hopefully he's still safe within the... that was within track limits. Lap time still
looks
counting.
Like he's struggling. It does look like he's struggling. Maybe he overworked the tire. You saw him being super aggressive on the formation lap. Maybe he just put a little bit too much energy into the tires. When a tire is new, if you spike up the heat so quickly, it might mean that he just damaged the carcass of the tire a little bit. The tire is starting to maybe become a little bit weaker. It might be graining a little bit for him as well, so it's still strange to me that he's not choosing to put his car down onto pit road, slap, and he is now. He's listened to our feedback. Tauras Tunila onto pit road. Gediminas Kirkštalaitis, what's his call going to be? Is he going to stay out? Is he going to stick to his original strategy? Or is he going to react to Tauras Tunila? Tauras Tunila will get a new set of Pirellis on now. last time out. He had a very, very long pit stop. He did say he was repairing some damage. I don't think he has damage this time. Let's see what.
This is a drive-through. It's not a pit stop. So as I've mentioned before, he had plenty of off-tracks this afternoon, and it looks like he received a penalty which was not handed out by our live race control, but by the system itself. And he drops down to P9, and he will still need to do a mandatory pit stop. But this is a nightmare for Tauras Tunila, who was having a blast, but was pushing a little bit too hard, which, well, caused him to do too many off-tracks.
Wow, that is surprising to say the least.
Well, that's gonna be a recovery race for Tauras Tunila now, because he's down in P9. 33.5 minutes of race still on the clock, so he has some time to make his position slightly better. He can't forget about the win. Oh, Danish Butvila off the racetrack. While we were talking about Tauras Tunila, so this is a chance for Tauras to maybe move one spot up. He's still too far behind. Actually, he's roughly 10 seconds behind Danish Butvila, who is currently 6th, and he just made a mistake, so quite a lot of time lost due to those penalties. And it looks like...
Wow, but yeah, Tauras Tunila, he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to get that penalty. He didn't need to push so hard. He could have maybe pushed Gediminas Krikštolaitis into making a penalty. But yeah, wow. That's pretty much given the win to Gediminas Krikštolaitis.
Well, he needs to stay calm. He doesn't have the need to push the car to the limit. Tauras Tunila actually into the pit lane now. What was the drive-through? Maybe, well... Will he stop this time? I'm just holding my breath. Yep, he's aiming for his pit stall, and that should be no shorter than a 30-second pit stop. Tauras Tunila will have a cold drink, maybe a little bit of water to relax, rethink everything what happened up until now. He will rejoin the racetrack, and well, he will be on a different mission. But this is how the race of Tauras Tunila has panned out so far. And that penalty, well, it will cost quite a lot of on-track position. He was battling for the win, and there goes our current race leader, while Tauras Tunila is still standing still. So, yeah, that's the difference now between Gediminas Krikštolaitis and Tauras Tunila, who is, well, aiming to the exit of the pit. And coming straight in front, well, actually behind Simon Speth and Alex Leaf, who are yet to make the mandatory pit stops. So he's now one lap down of our current race leader. That's the two cars battling for the first place on the racetrack at this moment. They have to make that pit stop, and virtually first place belongs to Gediminas Krikštolaitis, who is still standing in the pit lane, down to P7, but not for long, because we have 10.5 minutes of the pit window remaining.
Steven Katkus comes out in 6th, so he comes out right behind Gediminas Krikštolaitis. He should be fine to hold on to his second spot. Gediminas Krikštolaitis yellows for him, but that's because he's coming out of the pit lane. Jordi Balash actually comes out in 6th. I'm confused. How does Jordi Balash come out in 6th out of the pits?
Maybe a short... he was not... He wasn't in the pit lane, actually.
Oh, okay.
He's yet to
He was.
stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was very confused because Jordi Balash, well, he was definitely not in the battle for top 5 positions, so I was looking at his lap times at the timing screen and got extremely confused as to how Jordi Balash was now up into
Yeah.
second place provisionally. But Steven Kutkus doing a great job, by the way, in second place provisionally and 7th on the road at the moment. He started down in 4th place. Obviously can't keep up with the pace of Gediminas Kirkslaitis at the moment, but still. He's overtaken both Simon Speff and Alex Leaf, who are both down onto pit road. So the pit crews of Sean Clark Racing Team working overtime to service both cars at the same time, both Porsches. Let's see where they come out onto the road. Should be able to see where they come out right now. Simon Speff comes out in front of Alex Leaf. They both come out behind Steven Kutkus. So as a reminder, they have to change tires. They do not have to put in fuel. So they either have to change tires or change driver. But while changing driver, you can also change tires at the same time. So everybody on a new set of Pirellis. We had at Donington Park, you remember, a few cars that we were doubtful if they changed tires, and turned out they didn't and got a penalty afterwards. Dave Spartronics also coming out of pit road. He is in 11th, a few cars still to pit, 7 more minutes of this pit window open. Well, actually, not exactly, because you can have a 40-minute stint. So if you did pit for damage, or you pitted for, I don't know, a drive-through penalty, for example, actually your stint timer does increase, but still, everybody has to pit and change tires. Whatever time in the race that may be, it still has to be done.
Yep, and Stefano Schuma enjoying the current lead of the race, and I believe he will stay out for as long as he can, because he has 1 lap of leading this race for his account, and maybe he will come to the pit lane by the end of this lap, but that's not needed. He still has plenty of time to stay on the track and enjoy the current position. So is Mary Balazs, who is 4th on the racetrack, 1.3 seconds ahead of Simon Speff. I believe there is 1 car in between that is 1 lap down, but it looks like that the driver is traveling at a pretty decent pace, because he's right on the tail of Mary Balazs, and right behind these 2 drivers is Simon Speff, who just overtook that Ferrari. Maybe that's
Steven Kutkus. I'm sure he likes this view from his rear mirror, because Simon Speff, he is being held up behind Mary Balazs. It's not an easy track to overtake on, so he needs to wait until a good overtaking opportunity. This is Andrea Panoscia in 20th spot, but he's actually having decent pace side by side into the chicane for Balazs and Speff, and actually Balazs gets on the anchors and lets Speff through while jumping over the curb. Interesting. So I wasn't saying that you can't overtake on the outside. Well, Simon Speff goes and proves me completely wrong, because Mary Balazs still owes us a pit stop, so it isn't that surprising. Skuma down onto pit road. Gediminas Kirkslaitis back into the lead of the race.
Mary Balazs stays on the racetrack just to play with the nerves of Simon Speff and Alex Leaf, and he has all the rights to do so. By the way,
well,
both
Simon Speff is in front.
Yep, he's already in front, so he's enjoying the view in his rearview mirrors. But both Simon Speff and Mary Balazs were actually off the racetrack. And the lap times got invalidated in the recent situation where they were battling each other. So we've already seen one driver being penalized by the system to having too many off tracks. So they risk to kind of get the same outcome as Taurus Tunila has got due to too many off tracks. In the meantime, I was talking about race control. They are doing the job, and we have a couple of cars that have time penalties already. The time penalties will be added to the overall race results when it ends, and the recent penalty is for driver and for car number 6, Dominikas Graudinis. He received 5 seconds for what has been a bump overtake against car number 18.
Car number 18,
yeah,
running in last position.
Yep, so maybe that happened before the pit stops, or I'm not sure
Alex
when.
leaped off the road.
Yep, you have to be cautious. Small mistakes can cost you a fortune. By the way, Gediminas Krikštolaitis just took over the lead again of this race, and Balazs is entering the pit lane for what will be the last driver on the grid to complete the mandatory pit stop of this race. What about Taurus Tunila? He's still 9th, 2.7 seconds behind Dainus Butvila.
He's going to be up into 8th because Balazs will...
Yep, but Balazs...
You know, I was going to say that the place where Alex Leaf made his mistake, coming into the second to last turn, that's probably the best place to outbrake yourself around this track. Because if you outbrake yourself into Aqua Minerale, you'll probably be in the wall. At least there, if you outbrake yourself, the track evens out and you can stop quite easily towards the end there. And that gravel trap is not too rough. This is Taurus Tunila on your screens. He's trying to catch up to Dainus Butvila. A second a lap he's gaining, so he'll be kicking himself for getting that drive-through penalty. But so early on in the race as well, he only had spent like 25 minutes on track before he got that penalty. So very unfortunate for him, and that now leaves Gediminas Krikštolaitis to run a very, very calm race up at the front of the field. He doesn't need to take any risk.
Yes, indeed.
He's also holding the fastest lap of the race.
Well, that's gonna be a good race to... one race to remember for Gediminas Krikštolaitis if he'll hold it up as it is right now. Taurus Tunila is trying to be more cautious after he received that penalty, but look at the gap, it's already 1.5 seconds, and before the drivers took the pit stops, the gap between Taurus Tunila and Dainus Butvila was roughly 10 seconds after Dainus Butvila made that mistake on the racetrack and lost a little bit of time. So that's how much faster Taurus is than some of the drivers. Well, if Taurus Tunila will overtake Dainus Butvila, he will still have quite a distance to reach out the next driver, which is Dominikas Graudinis. By the way, Dominikas has 5 seconds penalty, which will be added to the total time of the driver after the race. So currently Taurus Tunila is kind of aiming to finish 6th in this race. 20 minutes to go, so still a lot of things can happen. And Taurus Tunila needs to keep his head down and try to overtake Dainus Butvila as fast as he can, but I'm not sure if that's gonna be an easy one, because Dainus Butvila is known as a good defending driver. Taurus Tunila running wide again. Time gets invalidated. Oh, by the way, so is the time by Gediminas Krikštolaitis. He was off the racetrack. I wonder how many off-tracks and which off-tracks do count towards the penalty. Do you have to cut the chicane, or is it...
No,
I believe the system Yep, I believe Assetto Corsa Competizione has a calculation system, and well, it can see if a driver has gained time during an off-track or lost time, and if
or to the inside, Dainus Butvila gets scared and drives off the road to let Taurus Tunila through. But yes, you do have essentially it calculates whether you gain time or not when you did the track limit infringement. But you need to lose time. You cannot go out equal. You need to lose time for it not to count towards your penalty total. You've got 3 strikes, 4th strike, and you're out. That would be a drive-through penalty is your 4th strike. You can still continue on in the race, but drive-through penalty. And it costs a lot, especially here at Imola. It is a long pit lane, and it's also a slow pit lane. Dave Sparktronics making a... I don't think that's a pit stop. That's probably a penalty being served.
That's highly possible. Justinas Saldukas battling with Mantas Samulonis, which is for P9 at this moment, but car number 10 that is driven by Samulonis has a 15 seconds penalty to the total time of the driver as he will finish this race. That's quite a lot, and 2 safety rating penalty points to the account of the driver trying to figure out what happened there. I believe it happened at the beginning of this race. No, actually, at the 10th minute of this one. It was a unsafe rejoin causing an incident and even more taking the position. So that's a harsh penalty by our steward, Tadas Dovidaitis. By the way, he's a FIA licensed steward, so he's definitely in the knows what's happening on the racetrack and how harsh the penalties have to be. That's how serious it is on the World Sim Series platform races, where Justinas Saldukas is right on the tail of Mantas Samulonis to the outside. Side by side, it looks like Samulonis is on the better position, but Justinas Saldukas was being able to keep up with the speed, but now into the Rivasa corner, Mantas Samulonis still holding the edge against Justinas.
How long can you be side by side for? And now, back to side by side they go as they go into the Tamburello chicane. To the outside in the black Porsche, it's Justinas Saldukas, white Porsche for Mantas Samulonis down the inside. Finally, Justinas Saldukas makes the move stick.
Alex Leaf has a mistake.
Off the road. And this is at Aqua Minerale. I said this is a hard braking zone. I wouldn't be surprised if he did it himself. Car heavily damaged.
Oh, there's another car off racetrack. Who was that? There was a BMW who was on the racetrack in the background. There comes Tauras Tonila and Dainus Butvela. Tauras up to 7th spot. Yep, Graudinis up to 5th. Mickevičius up to 4th.
Maybe we can have a replay of whatever happened to Alex Leaf there in the number 4 car. He was having a great race up in 4th position. Looks like now, well, he's going to have to fight to even stay 6th. That car heavily damaged. The body panels don't line up at all. Tauras Tonila on a charge to go up into 6th. And then he can maybe chase down Dominikas Graudinis as well. So the gap right now 1.6 to Alex Leaf and about 5.5 seconds to Dominikas Graudinis. He's not going to catch Simon Speff, who's in... he's not going to catch... Yeah, Simon Speff, he's too far. I think Matas Mickevičius is too far as well. However, fast Tauras Tonila will try to go. Alex Leaf clearly struggling. It's not a surprise. That car is heavily damaged. Tauras Tonila will want to dispatch of him as soon as possible, and he does so. Well, actually side by side, but I think Tauras Tonila will have light work of Alex Leaf here in that damaged Porsche. He's not going to have the downforce to get through, and Tauras Tonila easily up into P6.
Yep, so he's up to P6, 5.3 seconds behind Dominikas Graudinis. Tauras Tonila actually is not aware that Dominikas Graudinis has a 5-second penalty, so well, he will have to do it by himself in the remaining 15 minutes to try and minimize the gap. That should be less than 5 seconds. But I believe Tauras Tonila has the pace. He does not have to be told about the penalties of his rivals. And well, he's still on the same mission to try and catch up Dominikas Graudinis all by himself. I'm not sure if that's doable actually, because 5 seconds in 15 minutes of race time is quite a huge timestamp. And well, we will see how fast Toros Tunila can be on a clear track, which he just opened up for himself after overtaking Alex Leaf. Simon Speth, was he off the racetrack? I see his lap time is invalidated.
Maybe just a track limit infringement.
Yeah, maybe this is just a... we don't see the penalties being advertised on our screens. Oh, there is another 15.
We don't see the track limit infringements, yes.
Yep, Mary Thomas is the last driver to receive a 15-second penalty and 4 SR penalty points. 2 SR penalty points, not holding the brakes. So, well, it looks like the driver made a mistake and was not holding the brakes and caused yet a bigger accident. That's why such a harsh penalty for a driver who is currently P20. Still, the job has to be done.
Mary Thomas in a BMW, and we saw a BMW.
Yep, it is.
That accident, so it could be involved with whatever happened to Alex Speth. I think this might be part of that incident.
Sparktronics getting position from Justinas Gedzavicius and doing that quite easily. It looks like Justinas Gedzavicius is having some issues because, well, there were no big... oh, Graudinis in the pit lane. Is this another drive-through? So, well, those 5 seconds will be added after the race, but he has to go slow. So it looks like the track of Imola is punishing the drivers quite hardly. Is it a drive-through? No, it looks like...
No, it should be a drive-through. There would be no point of pitting this.
Yeah, it is.
Yep, it is a drive-through. Another victim of the track limit police. And Dominikas Graudinis, well, he's going to drop down and down and down and down. Toros Tunila up into 5th. He's got 8.5 seconds to Matas Mickiewicz. I think that's just a little bit too far. Just an ask a little bit too big. Danos Butula actually catching up now to Alex Leaf. He will have a chance to maybe make a move. Justinas Lucas. No, he won't have a chance. No, he's too far away. 17 seconds.
Actually, there is a bigger story behind car number 15 and what happened there. So it looks like car number 15, that's Mary Thomas. He was battling Alex Leaf. Yes, indeed, there was a situation. So number 4 is Alex Leaf, and I see the info from the stewards that car number 15 was brake checking car of Alex Leaf, then causing an accident by not holding the brakes. So the driver received a total of 15 seconds and minus 4 SR points, which... Oh, Dominikas Graudinis jumping over the curb, so almost losing the car.
I think he's trying to be careful to not get any more track limit infringements.
Yeah, so there was a huge story behind what happened with the driver of Alex Leaf, who was having a really good race. He was running 4th. He's now down in P6 with a heavily damaged car, 2.1 seconds ahead of Dainius Butvila. So there might be another battle coming in the nearest couple of minutes.
Gained about a second through the last lap. So yep. Dainius Butvila hard charging. Dainius Butvila, I think he might have a good chance to get in front.
Alex Leaf losing roughly 2 seconds per lap to what he was able to achieve with a undamaged car, so this kind of race situation is the biggest nightmare of the drivers, where you have to...
Yellow for Dave Sparktronics. Something happened to him because he was battling for 12th, but now it looks like he's continuing to drop. Dave Sparktronics coming back onto the track in that black Ferrari down in P15, so I think he was off through the Tamburello chicane.
This is car number 12. Maybe we will receive some info from live stewards. Oh.
He tried to make that move to the inside, but had to back out of it. Almost stopped on the apex. Toros Tunila 6.9 seconds to 4th place. Matas Mickiewicz too far away.
Yep. He's getting closer, but that's not close enough unless Matas Mickiewicz makes some sort of a mistake. But
Davis Electronics, he's not happy. You can see it. The way he's driving, he's desperate at the moment, and he's made another mistake to go behind the Porsche of Ines Klimovich. By the way, 0.8 of a second. That's the gap between Dainos Butvila and Alex Leaf. Getting closer. Wow, Dave Sparktronics running over every curb he can find around the track at the moment. Dainos Butvila, he's getting closer and closer. This is Ines Klimovich's touch. No,
that's actually Steven Katkus.
Oh. Okay, Steven Katkus, he's in 2nd place. He's trying to get through the lap traffic. That's why Dave Sparktronics gave the place up so easily to him. I thought that was somebody else. Okay. So Steven Katkus, he is now lapping the cars in 15th and 14th. That means Gediminas Krikštaitis has lapped them quite a bit earlier. Dainos Butvila, he's staying steady at that 0.8. He's in the BMW, so he should be able to have just a little bit more advantage down the straights, and especially with the damaged car of Alex Leaf, he should have an easier time at it. Coming through the final 2 turns, with just 7.5 minutes to go in tonight's race. This is going to be Dainos Butvila versus Alex Leaf for 6th spot in the race. Alex Leaf with a heavily damaged Porsche. He's not going to put too much of a fight on because he knows that this is inevitable. Dainos Butvila up into 6th. Gediminas Krikštaitis, yep, he's just getting through traffic.
Has to deal with the traffic, and actually he lost almost 2 seconds in this situation while he had to make that move on that Porsche. But it looks like the driver that is being lapped was being cooperative. I've seen, yep, he still has his side light on and flashing. Turn light.
Just maybe indicating. Choosing an interesting line down the straight.
1 minute 42.3 versus 1 minute 41.2. So he lost roughly 1 second in that situation to Stevenas Katkus, but that's no problem at all. The gap is still a little bit more than 7.5 seconds between the 2 leaders, so Gediminas Krikštaitis can be relaxed and not think about anything else, just his own race. Try to avoid mistakes. Sparktronics received a penalty for bumping another driver, car 21, that was Ines Klimovich, and the guys are still battling it. So Dave Sparktronics is in the middle, behind Mantas Klokinas, and Ines Klimovich is gaining on these 2 drivers quite easily. And this will turn into a 3-car battle for position number 13, which currently belongs to Mantas Klokinas, but the question is for how long, and you can see how impatient Dave Sparktronics is right now, losing the back end of his Ferrari and actually risking to lose even the 14th position. There's, I believe, Simon Speth on the tail of these two drivers. Yes, indeed. While Linus Klimavic is making a move and doing that not in a nice way. He out-calculated himself, and Simon Speth has to deal with all this traffic and avoid mistakes. And, well, it might have ended similarly to how it ended to his teammate. Yeah, good news that Simon Speth survived all this situation, but that means there will be more work and more drama for our...
Sparktronics now gives up the place to Ines Klimavicius.
He actually... no, I don't know.
He just slowed down on the left-hand side of the start-finish grid. What is going on? Because maybe he felt guilty? I don't know.
Why? He shouldn't be guilty. No, well, why?
He's
because
not,
it was a
I
mistake.
don't know.
It was a mistake totally on Ines Klimavicius. He outbraked himself while trying to overtake Sparktronics and
maybe
bumped.
He saw the move. Maybe he saw the move and thought he was next to be bowled off the track. So he's let Ines Klimavicius through in front, saying, "I don't want any issues here."
Maybe he just outsmarted himself. Maybe he wanted to let Simon Speth through and slow down a little bit too much. Well, a lot of speculation here, but
stranger things have happened on World Sim Series races, so we're kind of getting desensitized to this. We're not surprised by anything anymore, but let's see what Dave Sparktronics can do here, coming down into the final two turns of the lap. 3 minutes to go on the clock. Dave Sparktronics to the inside. Big move, but nope, backs out of it. And Ines Klimavicius goes off the road himself, actually. That's why it looked like he had backed out of it, because Ines Klimavicius braked so late that he just went off the road. Let's see if Dave Sparktronics will let him through as well one more time, but I don't think he's going to make that mistake again.
You think he's having fun towards the end of the race? Well, the driver maybe thinks, well, I'm battling for P13. Why not have a little bit more fun towards the end of the race and have a decent battle with my rivals? That all that battling and all that bumping allowed Jan Brewery to gain on the drivers ahead. He's now 0.8 of a second behind Ines Klimavicius. Does he have something up his sleeve to try and gain a couple of spots on these final laps of the third round of our Team Challenge Championship on World Sim Series platform? You could see that Dave Sparktronics slightly outbraked himself and missed the apex by a couple of meters, but still managed to stay in front of Ines Klimavicius and continues being 13th on the grid at this moment. Don't forget that Mantas Samulonis, who is currently 10th, has a 15-second time penalty, which will put him to P11, right behind Dominikas Graudinis. Wow, Jan Brewery.
Big touch.
What was that?
Jan might be in front now. Quite a lot of bumping and banging throughout the field, especially towards the end of the field. Imola, a track that might do that sometimes. And next time round, by the way, we'll head on down south into South Africa and the Kyalami circuit, the legendary Kyalami circuit. That's going to be on the 11th of February that we'll have this race.
Kaliopinas just had another moment, while Gediminas Krikštolaitis is on the final lap of this race. He gained a couple of seconds on Stevenas Katkus on the final lap, so I think that has something to do with the traffic. Tauras Tonila 4 seconds behind Matas Mickevičius. He got closer, but still too far to make things change. Car number 19 will receive a penalty. That's Jan Brewery. We've just seen battling with Ines Klimavicius, and he got that place from Ines a couple of moments ago, but he received a 1 safety rating penalty, And I believe no time penalty has been added to the race of the driver, who is currently 14th, while we enjoy the views and the driving of our race leader, who will become the race winner. Gediminas Krikštalaitis exiting the final corner and should cross the line in a couple of meters to take the win of the third round.
Fantastic run by Gediminas. He overtook Tauras Tunila on track, forced him into mistakes, and he's the rightful winner for round 3 here at Imola. Steven Katkus, I think he's the story of the race, the revelation of the race, finishes in second. Simon Speff takes P3. He's capitalized on other people's mistakes. Matas Mickevičius, he should be happy. He's the highest placed non-Porsche. 4th place for Matas's BMW. Tauras Tunila will be disappointed. He's down in 5th position, starting from pole, getting overtaken, and then actually getting a penalty. Dainius Butvila in 6th. He's had a decent race. He's gone up and up and up and up, and he's going to finish in 6th position. Alex Leaf will finish down in 7th. That purple BMW, hard to miss. Alex Leaf, 7th position. Justinas Saldukas will be 8th. He's had a good recovery. We saw him spinning off in the beginning of the race. Now, across the line to finish in 8th position. Stefano Sciuma will be 9th, and Matas Samulonis will finish in 10th place.
Which he will lose that place to Dominikas Graudinis because due of the 15-second penalty. So Dominikas Graudinis, by crossing the line 11th, actually finishes 10th, and he doesn't know that yet. Yep, and this is the race that has been written to the history of the World Sim Series platform, because all the other drivers have already finished. They are one lap down, and they were overtaken by our race leaders already. Do we have a view of our final but unofficial results? I believe we do. And we can go through the results as they are right now. Do we have the view? I believe we do.
Beaver Grease Racing takes the win, with Gediminas Krikštalaitis leading the charge. Also, fastest lap of the race for him. Then it's Katkus for No Traction Racing. Sean Clark Racing's Simon Speff finishes in 3rd. Rotoma Racing with Mickevičius in 4th. Dream to Drive of Tauras Tunila finishes in 5th. Butvila for Baklajana in 6th. Leaf for Sean Clark Racing GT in 7th. 8th for World Sim Series and Justinas Saldukas. Overtake Land and Sciuma finish in 9th. 10th for Samulonis and Samulonis Racing. A very original name that is. Graudinis in Goated Racing finish in 11th spot. Gedzevičius for Team Finishes in 12th position. Sparktronics Racing Team of Dave Sparktronics, again very original, finish in 13th. VGD Racing Team of Brewery finish 14th. Klimavičius in 666 Racing finish 15th. VGD Racing Team B of Maxime Jordi finish 16th. Klopkinas in Team Salda finished 17th. ACC Happy Team of Panaskoya finished 18th. Gedzevičius in Team Dijorus finished 19th. Rocky Racing Team of Tamash finished in 20th. PRV of Rutkauskas finish in 21st, and 22nd goes to the Dream to Drive Junior Team of Domantas Niva. That's your race.
Yep, and we just received some interesting info from our drivers. It looks like Tauras Tunila has made huge mistakes with the tire pressures. That's why he was having a nightmare of a race with lots of off tracks and sliding around. but I hope that's gonna be a lesson learned for the driver of the World Sim Series team, who finished 5th in from the Dream to Drive team actually, who finished 5th in this race of what could have been a win for the driver. So I believe we can round up with the third round of the championship. As Gustas already mentioned, the next track is one very interesting venue in South Africa, which will take place on the 11th of February, so in 2 weeks' time. Hope you enjoyed this race, and stay tuned for more. And if you don't want to be only a viewer of what's happening on the racetrack, you have all the possibilities to join this race action by yourselves. Just head over to theworldsimseries.com. You will find all the needed info of how to participate here and maybe try your luck out to be the next winner of this championship. So have a good evening, and that's a wrap up from both of us, Gustas Grimbergas and Laurinos myself.
Have a good night.